Hey y'all, so as many of you may know, my plan is to hike the Pacific Crest Trail this year. I had planned to start about a month ago, but 3 days before I was planning to start, I found out that I broke my foot. I'll be starting within the week, so it'll be about 5.5 weeks after my initial injury. And so I just want to make a gear video going over what I'll be starting with on the trail. But before I begin, the PCT goes from Mexico to Canada. I will unfortunately not get the chance to start at Mexico this year because it'll be too late in the season. I won't have enough time. So I'll be starting around where I would have been if I had started on time. So I'll be starting in a town called Wrightwood. It is about at mile 369, so just shy of 400 miles that I'll be skipping ahead so that I can continue where the weather's safe, continue with the bubble of hikers, and then if I have time at the end of the trail, once I've reached Canada and before I have to go back to work, I'll flip back down and do those miles that I had skipped. But a couple things in order to help my foot continue to heal. I've made some changes to the gear I'll be bringing. What that will entail, I'll be using some KT tape. Also be using a compression sock. And then normally I hike in trail runners, but instead I'll be starting the trail off in boots. The reason I don't normally hike in these is because they're hot and heavy. They're about 1 pound heavier per shoe, maybe ½ pound heavier per shoe versus my trail runners. But I think they'll provide some extra support and stability to help my foot continue to heal. Other things I'll be carrying with me, these are my hiking poles. They are Cascade Mountain Tech. I just got them off Amazon. I've used them for about a year or two and they've been doing good for me. I will be hiking in this Adidas. It's just a normal baseball hat. It's lightweight, has good ventilation. This is the Mountain Hardwear Sun Hoodie. And then I'll have Darn Tough socks, and then I'll just be hiking in some bike shorts I got from Walmart. So starting to get into my gear, first we'll go over my fanny pack. It just has little knickknacks, day-to-day things. What that includes is Swiss Army knife. Obviously it's not a knife for protection, but it has all the multi-use things like scissors, tweezers, things like that. My hairbrush, just some earplugs in case I'm camping near other people that are loud, near a noisy road or anything like that. I'll also have my chapstick and a little Bic lighter just in case. In the bigger pocket, I'll be carrying my phone when I'm on trail, and then also some sunglasses. And a fanny pack is really just nice, especially when you're in town and don't have another bag to carry around your phone and cards and things like that. Now getting into my bag, we'll start on the outside. So first, as you can see, I have Crocs. I'm a very big advocate of having camp shoes. I love having an easy pair of slip-on shoes to wear around camp at night and also for water crossings. Here is my Kula cloth. It's an antimicrobial cloth for females to wipe after going potty. What else? Here in this mesh bag is my water filtration kit. So first I have my Sawyer Squeeze. I keep it in a plastic bag so that when it's below freezing I can put it in my sleeping bag without it leaking water everywhere. You don't want this out in the cold, which is why when it's below freezing you bring it in your sleeping bag so that it doesn't stop being functional. There's a little blue connector you can get on top, you can get separately that allows you to connect directly to the smart water bottle so you can use gravity filter. And these will be my dirty water collection. I have two CNOC 2-liter bags. You basically just scoop the water. It opens up like this and you scoop your water source and then you attach the filter to the end of it and that lets you filter your water. So with these two 2-liter bags, and then I have 2 smart water bottles. It allows me to have a carrying capacity of 6 liters, which I'll need in certain areas where there are water carries. And what that means is you don't get a fresh supply of water for about 15 to 20 miles. I also will have my poop kit, easily accessible, just my trowel, a bag to put my paper waste in, and then some wet wipes. That is everything I have in that pocket. Now keep in mind, as I hike, how I store things in my pack will probably change. In this pocket right here, I have one of my smart water bottles, and then I also have my GoPro. This is what I'll be filming with on trail so I can get good quality videos. My goal is to vlog along the trail, so this is what I'll be using for that. In my other pocket, I'll be carrying my other smart water bottle, as well as my tent poles and stakes. And then finally, I have little hip belt pockets. Now, they're not the easiest to use, but I do plan to keep sunscreen and hand sanitizer in the one pocket. And then my other pocket is empty right now, and that's where I'll put some snacks for the day. Now, getting into the pack, this top part is called the brain. Right underneath the brain, I have a piece of Tyvek. This is my ground sheet for my tent to help protect things from poking through the bottom of the tent and causing damage. It's also nice just to have easily accessible to use to sit down at lunchtime or breaks so you're not sitting directly on the dirt. Now inside my brain, I have this is my raincoat. It's a Columbia. I think technically it's a Silverlight. Not entirely certain on that. It's just a cheap raincoat from Columbia that weighs about 7 ounces. If I'm going to change anything in my pack, this is maybe one of the things to change. It's not the typical Gore-Tex rain jacket that most hikers carry, but with how little it rains on the Pacific Crest Trail, I'm hoping this will be enough. I also have my bug net. It's the Sea to Summit. I don't know where I'll be keeping this ultimately throughout the trail, but this is my little travel toothpaste and toothbrush. Here is a bandana. It was made by someone who is very heavily involved with the trail. She made this little bandana that has the map along the trail, and also when you're hitching you can say hiker to trail or hiker to town. Just bandana, multi-use, used to wipe up my container after eating, wipe away snot, wipe away sweat, things like that. And then I also have in here my buff. If you don't know what a buff is, it's basically a piece of fabric that looks like this, that has a tube through. You can use it as a headband, as a neck gaiter, whatever you need for it. And then I will have a warm weather hat because I hate being cold. I'm very susceptible to the cold, so here's a hat for that. Speaking of getting cold, I have some outdoor research. I think they're the heavyweight gloves. Obviously not very heavy, they're very lightweight gloves. I think that's just their official name. And then in case it's raining or wet, I have some very lightweight waterproof mittens to wear over those. Now moving into my pack. On top, I always have my tent. It's in a waterproof bag. The reason I always have it on top is when I get to camp, this is the first thing I can get out, set up my tent, and then I can open up everything else around that. The tent I'm using is the Nemo Hornet Osmo, the 2-person tent. I like having a 2-person tent. One, it allows me to backpack with my dogs when I have the opportunity to, but also gives me a little bit more room to spread out, and the weight difference is pretty negligible versus the 1-person. To me, it's worth it. Now, when I pack my bag, I basically just stuff things in. I have certain bags like for my tent or my food, but everything else is just kind of randomly thrown in there. So next thing is my first aid bag. I say that in quotes because it's not really heavy amount of first aid. I have a little jar of Aquaphor, some tweezers, some ibuprofen, Benadryl, methocarbamol, a few light bandages, things like that. This is my electronics bag. I'll go over that in more detail in a little bit. Next thing, this is my puffy jacket. It's the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. I don't know which version. I've had this one for probably about 7 or 8 years now. My mid layer or puffy or fleece. This is the Mountain Hardwear, I think it's a Summit Grid hoodie. Not the lightest weight fleece possible. I think it's about 11 ounces, but it's very warm. It's what I had on hand. My warm layer of pants is this pair of pants I got on Amazon. I've worn them a couple times, really comfortable. fairly lightweight at about 7 ounces. I have an extra compression sock so that I can have wear one, wash it out, air it out the next day, and have the other one available. This is a very big luxury item I will also be bringing is my Kindle. I love reading. Now, I don't know how much that'll change along the trail, if I'll be socializing with other hikers more or too tired to read during breaks or at camp, but I'm going to start out with it and we'll see. I can always mail it back to my husband if necessary. Next is my food bag. Now this is obviously packed. This is about 5 to 6 days worth of food. I also have, this is my rope and bear hanging kit, so I can, when available, hang it in the trees to make it safer from bears and critters that might want my food. This bag, I think right now with about 5 to 6 days of food, weighs about 8.5 pounds, 8 pounds. Typically, so obviously I'll be on the trail, I won't have what's called hiker hunger. Hiker hunger typically takes a while to get to when you're on trail, and it's basically when you start eating 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day and you just can't get full. So right now with this is about 2,500 calories per day is what I have packed. Just jumping on here to say one thing I forgot to include in my video, going through the food bag, was this jar. This is the jar I plan to cold soak my food in. So I, as a backpacker, have never carried a stove. So how I have my food is I typically carry food that can either be eaten without needing to be cooked, or food that can be cold soaked. What that means is I can put the food in this container and soak it in water for, depends on what the food is, but can be anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour and a half, and have food that is ready to eat. To be the same consistency as the food if it were cooked, but just cold. So for example, foods that can be cold soaked include ramen noodles, nor rice sides, instant mashed potatoes, things like that. Now, next stuff I'll be bringing out is more of my sleep system. So, this is the, what is it? The Thermarest Neo-Air X Lite. The regular version, regular length, regular width. I also have the Sea to Summit Eros Ultralight Large Pillow. I cannot sleep without a pillow. Some people say just take your extra clothes and roll them up and stuff them in your puffy or in a buff and you can make a pillow, but I'm a very big fan of this. For sleep clothes, I will have this long sleeve shirt and these pants, and somewhere in here I have specific sleep socks. Right here I have socks that are specifically I will only wear at night. Again, that's considered more of a luxury. Ultralight hikers do not have a specific set of camp clothes, but I really like sleeping in a somewhat cleaner set of clothes. Makes me feel a little bit better at night. And then last thing is going to be my sleeping bag. I have the Enlightened Equipment Enigma 10-degree quilt. Before I start going over my electronics bag, one last thing I left and didn't show from the bottom of my bag was I do have a second pair of hiking socks. So I'll be taking 3 total pairs of socks, one that is for camp only, and then 2 pairs of socks that I'll rotate when hiking. Now going into my electronics bag, the way I'll be charging all these electronics when I am on trail is with battery banks. I have 2 10,000 milliamp Nicor battery banks. The reason I split it up into 2 of the 10,000 instead of one 20,000 is that it'll be faster to charge these 2 versus one big one. It is slightly less weight, they'll be faster to charge, and in case one breaks, I'll have a little bit extra redundancy. This is something new to me. It is a pump for my sleeping pad. It takes about 50 seconds. Its battery supposedly lasts for about 25 uses, and then it is rechargeable. It is actually lighter, or just about the same weight, as the pump sack that comes with the sleeping pad, so I thought this was a luxury that was worth having. This is my storage container for the SD cards I'll be using for the GoPro. There is also this little thing that is a converter, so it plugs into my phone and allows me to read the images and videos that are on the SD card. I will also have my headlamp. It is the Black Diamond Spot Rechargeable. This will be actually hooked up on out on the outside of my pack, but this is my safety feature. This is the Garmin InReach Mini 2. It has an SOS button for emergencies. It also allows me to send out messages to my family and friends when I do not have cell service. Here is my charging block. It has 2 USB-C ports and then 1 USB port. I believe it was at the 65 watts, whatever watts, that allows you to charge as fast as possible. For my GoPro, I'm going to start with a total of 3 batteries so I don't have to use my battery banks as much. Now this may change if I find it a little bit too much, or I might add more if it's not enough, but I'll have 3 batteries for my GoPro. 1 is already in there, and then I have 2 more here, and their special charging block that allows them to charge most efficiently. And then the rest is just various cords to allow me to charge my things when I'm in town. The whole goal of this is so that I have power when I'm on trail and can be in town as short as possible with the purpose of charging all my devices. So I thought I'd show how my sleep setup will work at camp. Now obviously I'd have a tent around me, but I just wanted to test the FlexTail for the first time and then just show what it looks like to pump up the sleeping pad and arrange my quilt around it. That took 55 seconds to pump up. So we have our sleeping pad inflated. One thing I've already put on the sleeping pad is this strap. It'll connect to the the quilt. And so, again, the quilt I have is a 10-degree Enlightened Equipment Enigma. So it is fully open. If I undo that. It is fully open. It does have a sewn enclosed foot box, and that's the difference between the Enigma and the Revelation. And so it has these little straps on the side that have a system that kind of compresses it around you and tucks it in close to your body. The benefit of a quilt versus a full sleeping bag is the weight savings. So you don't have that material that's fully wrapped around, so it saves, I don't know what, a third, a half the material. And so the way it works is, like I said, I have this strap that's already around my sleeping pad. So I just clip in the little clips that are on both sides of the sleeping bag. And that keeps it not only tucked in, but also keeps it onto the sleeping pad so you're not sliding around at night. The other strap is right here. It doesn't go around the sleeping pad. This one doesn't. What it does is clips underneath you to the clip on the other side, just like that. And so you can tighten it up however much you want to keep it tight around you. And then the final step, if you want, is there's little button right here, again, just to kind of fully enclose you. And then you put your sleeping pillow. And that is how I'll be sleeping inside my tent every night, or sometimes I might try cowboy camping without the tent. But I think that does it for the gear I'll be starting out with. Like I said, I fully expect how I pack my bag to change throughout the trail, and for the things I will be carrying to change throughout the trail. If you have any questions, please let me know.